Welcome back to the Fireburns Within channel. Time for another discography ranking. I did a discography ranking for Morbid Angel last night and I got the bug for it, and I thought, what band can I do tonight? Let me think. So I had a little think, and I've got some Iced Earth videos on this channel, but not a full discography ranking. So let me do an Iced Earth discography ranking. I've got to do this in under 10 minutes, so there's not going to be a lot of talk. There's going to be a lot of just to the point words about each album and get to the end as quick as possible, because I do tend to prattle on, and I know these videos are boring and no one wants to watch. So anyway, Iced Earth has 12 studio albums, quite a long career. We all know John Schaefer has been a naughty boy. He's in a lot of trouble. Iced Earth, you could say, is done. I mean, you never say never, but it's not looking good, is it? But anyway, let's get on with this. 12 studio albums to rank. I'm just going to rank from 12 down to 1. Few words, and that's it. In 12th place, we've got Framing Armageddon, Something Wicked, Part 1. This was the second and last album with Ripper Owens. It's an okay album. I mean, I should add, there's no really bad albums in Iced Earth's discography, in my opinion. The lowest score I would give an Iced Earth album is 6 out of 10. And Framing Armageddon gets 6 out of 10. It's reasonable, you know, it's okay, but it's not memorable, and I think the fans were tired of Ripper and wanted Barlow back. So it sits pretty low. It sits as low as possible, but it's by no means a bad album. In 11th place, we've got Plagues of Babylon, released in 2014 with Stu Block, their most recent singer. This was an okay album. It's a very heavy album. It's a very dense album. There's just not enough melody in it from memory that I recall. It never really caught my ear, but it was a very heavy and, just sort of dense album. So if you like heaviness and not so much speed that I prefer, then definitely you might like to check out Plagues of Babylon. In 10th place, we got The Crucible of Man, Something Wicked Part 2. So this was released as the Part 2 for the Something Wicked double, if you like, and it featured Matt Barlow again. Matt Barlow was back. Fans demanded Barlow came back. This was a better album than Framing Armageddon Part 1, but I think overall it's a slight disappointment. I'd rate it around the 7 out of 10 mark. It's okay, but it's a bit disappointing. We just expected more from when Schaefer and Matt Barlow got together. You know, when they get together, we expect more. So it didn't quite live up to it. In 9th place, we've got Incorruptible, the most recent Iced Earth album, released in 2017 with Stu Block. This was a much better album than the previous one he released, Plagues of Babylon. But it was still not an amazing album. It was good. It was really solid, heavy. Stu Block, he fits the band very well. It was a good album, you know. It was a good latter-day album, but it just, I don't know, some of the spark was missing. Some of the spark that I was hoping for wasn't quite there. In 8th place, we've got Horror Show, released back in 2001 with Matt Barlow. This was a sort of a standalone album. It wasn't part of the concept, but it was the themes were of characters from horror and history and so on. This was a really good album. I really did enjoy quite a few songs from this. I like it when the story is not too convoluted and there's no real story in this. Every song is on its own and it's standalone, and it's pretty cool. Horror Show is a good album. It's a solid album, around 7.5 to an 8, depending on how you would how you rate it yourself. In 7th place, we've got The Glorious Burden with the first album with Ripper in Iced Earth. This one is about the American history. I think this is a really good album. It's a little bit underrated. Ripper fitted in really well. The themes of the album are very, everyone knows John Schaefer. He's into his his conspiracy theories, and he's very pro American stance and so on. And some of the theories or some lyrics are very, you take them with a pinch of salt. I do anyway, but I really like The Glorious Burden, especially the Gettysburg trilogy at the end, which is just an awesome piece of work. It makes the album. Without that, the album would be placing a little bit higher, but a little bit lower in the ranking. But because of the Gettysburg trilogy, it's ranking in 7th place. Okay, let's get the top 6 done. I'm starting to talk too much already. In 6th place, we got The Dark Saga, released in 1996 with Matt Barlow. This was like a more straight ahead album. There was no intricate stuff. Straight ahead heavy metal album. You could say it was sort of like a Metallica worship album, like their version of the Black Album, if you like, but with more melody and more classic heavy metal in it as well than, say, the Black Album had. I really like The Dark Saga. A lot of people don't like it because it's more simplistic, but I think it fits the band well. And this is the first time I really heard Barlow, so I was just engrossed with it. In 5th place, we've got Dystopia, the first album with Stu Block. This was a real big return to form. I mean, when Stu Block came in, people were like, oh, how is he going to fit? He fit in like a glove. I mean, he was very much in the Matt Barlow mold. He was pretty much aping Matt Barlow. There's no other way to look at it. But Dystopia it's an inspired album. The songs are really heavy. They're quite upbeat. They're melodic. They're catchy. I think it's definitely easily my favourite of all the albums with Stu Block. Okay, in 4th place, we've got the self-titled Iced Earth album from 1990 featuring their first singer, Gene Adam. This is an awesome album. Gene Adam is by far not the best singer Iced Earth have ever had. He's sort of got this high-pitched whine thing going on, and he does get a bit annoying, but the riffing, the songs, the speed, the melodies, I especially like the remastered version of Iced Earth. It's really awesome, and the songs are just really catchy. This sort of, I love the fast pace of the riffs. Just awesome. If, say, Matt Barlow was singing this, and of course he did the Days of Purgatory album where he sings some of the songs. If he was singing it from the very beginning, this would be like almost number 1, but because it's Gene Adam, it sits in 4th place. In 3rd place, we've got Burnt Offerings, released in 1995 with Matt Barlow. This is a heavy album. This is a dark, moody, heavy album. It's got the title, well, not the title track, the epic track Dante's Inferno, which is like, a dark, brooding, heavy piece. Matt Barlow is sounding like demonic at times. He's also melodic. The themes are very, very dark. This is a dark album. A lot of people love Burnt Offerings. They place this as number 1, but it's a little bit too dark for me. It's quite grim, but it's still got amazing songs. I wish the production was a little bit brighter, a little bit sharper. John Schaefer always, when he's talking about this album, he always says he's not happy with the production and finds it too dark, which I actually can understand. Although the Iced Earth fans, they absolutely, love Burnt Offerings, and a lot of people would place this at number 1. Anyway, let's go on with this. In 2nd place, we've got Night of the Storm Rider from 1991, featuring John Greeley, the only album he appeared on. Greeley's voice is okay. It's a little bit better than Gene Adams' voice, but the songs are amazing. They've sort of refined the sound from the debut. They've got a little bit heavier. The melodies are stronger. The songs are absolutely amazing. I mean, I'll tell you this, Night of the Storm Rider would be my number one if Matt Barlow was singing it. And he also obviously sang many of the songs on Days of Purgatory, the re-records. So I love Days of Purgatory, but it's not a studio album as such. It's a re-record, so it doesn't go on the studio album discography. But Night of the Storm Rider is a killer album music-wise. It's just that John Greeley is singing and not Matt, so it drops from first into second, which leads on to my top Iced Earth album, which is Something This Wicked This Way Comes. This was the very first Iced Earth album I've ever heard, back in 98, released in 98, with Matt Barlow. First time I heard Matt Barlow, I fell in love with Iced Earth. I mean, I didn't know their previous stuff, so I heard Something Wicked and I worked my way back, and then I realized the earlier stuff is sort of more thrashy, more speedy, and Something Wicked is more sort of like streamlined. The production is much better. The songwriting is like rock solid. They've got ballads, they've got epic songs, they've got the trilogy at the end, which is like the most awesome trilogy John Schaefer has ever written. I mean, it's just got some great parts, the Something Wicked trilogy at the end. Just an awesome album. I really love this one. Some people don't like it too much because it's sort of a little bit watered down, but since this was my first introduction to Iced Earth, I absolutely loved it. So this stays as my number one, although like I said, Night of the Storm Rider would be number one if Matt Barlow sang all of the songs. So there you have it. That's my ranking for the Iced Earth discography. Stay tuned.